Hi everybody and welcome to the 2006 Advance Auto Parts Modified Super Dirt Series Season in Review. My name is Shane Andrews and our backdrop today is the beautiful Dirt Motorsports Hall of Fame Museum in Weedsport, New York. A lot of drivers have been inducted into this great facility and a lot more are going to be coming in years to come. Let's get things started, ladies and gentlemen. The Big Block Modifieds. Florida is where it all kicked off in February. So wipe the visor, adjust the 5-point harness. Grandpa, put your teeth in your pocket. Let's go racing with the big blocks. Volusia Speedway Park, Barberville, Florida. We're going to get things kicked off with the Big Block Modifieds. Dale Plank in the 77X and Jimmy Horton in the number 42 machine putting on a battle here, but this was for second place. You see, as these guys were fighting tooth and nail, there was another guy running away with this feature. That was Brett Hearn in the number 20. But the Jets' luck would run dry as he had overheating problems with the Madsen Motorsports number 20, sending him to the pit area. Back out on the racing surface, Tim Fuller holds second until Vic Coffey in the Sweeteners Plus 32C puts it up into the 2 spot, but that's as far as he would get. At the Checkers, Neshannock Station, New Jersey's Jimmy Horton would collect the first win of the year. Coffey second, followed by Fuller, Dale Plank, and Andy Bacchetti. Night number 2 at Volusia as the Speed Shop brings them into your living room. Rough racetrack caused a lot of problems. Wade Hendrickson in a 0 car. He's got the steering wheel. Who's he looking for? Who's it going to be? The Dr. Danny Johnson, who was then driving for Jeff Isabel. Wade Hendrickson not happy with him. Billy Decker and Alan Johnson, they race each other a lot, and on this night it was no different as they battled in the top 5 for supremacy. Decker's number 91 and AJ in the number 14J. The number 19 of Tim Fuller now has his own operation, being challenged by Bobby Barron in the number 24 V machine, and Fuller was up to the challenge. Behind them, we find Jimmy Horton, opening night winner, and Brett Hearn, who had a stout race car, right there being pressured by the 77X of the natural Dale Plank as they bounce their way through corners number 1 and 2. Horton would get the best of both of them on this night, but in the end, it was Tim Fuller in the number 19 picking up his first win of 2006. Chasing him across the line was Jimmy Horton, Brett Hearn, Alan Johnson, and Danny Johnson. Night number 3, watch all this carnage take place. Stuart Freeze and Bonsai's in, Wayne Jelly sideways, Chris Schultz up and over, landing on the front end of David Van Horn. Nobody was injured, but you could see the Schultz car was destroyed. Now, let's take a look at the previous 2 nights' winners. Here we have Jimmy Horton and Tim Fuller, both already been to victory lane. Horton in the number 42 car was challenging Jamie Mills for position number 3. That's as far as he would get, as Horton would fade back to 6th at the end. A different story for Tim Fuller, running in the top 5 when Stuart Friesen gets connected with him as they end up coming to a stop up in corner number 3 and 4. And Fuller gently gets out and says, hey, dude, you got AAA, we're going to need a tow truck. It's only February and the rivalry resumes. Brett Hearn and Danny Johnson. The Doctor lays the lumber to the Jet as they battle for the number 1 spot. Danny was leading at the time, but Brett Hearn a little bit quicker on the top side with that Madsen Motorsports Wentworth Construction number 20, and the Jet would cruise home to pick up his first win of the year in Florida. The Doctor settles for second, followed by Jamie Mills. Another fine run for Dale Plank in 4th. 4th and final night at Volusia. 4 wide, salute to the fans. First time the Big Block Modifieds had ever done this, and it worked. Racing action on the speedway, carnage about to happen. Danny Johnson and Jamie Mills get together. Both of them go around in the backstretch. When racing resumed, Steve Holsizer in the 88 did a complete 360 mid-pack as everybody was sent scrambling, as the 8 car of Tom Sears, heavy damage on the front end. And then Billy Decker goes around, setting off a chain reaction after he was punted from behind. You can see the number 5, Rick Laubach, that car was damaged up good. So was Billy Decker's number 91. Amidst all of this carnage was a 50-lap race that was actually run for the Big Block Modifieds. Jimmy Horton needed to finish in the top 5 in order to pick up the Florida Championship, but Brett Hearn had other plans. Here he takes the lead away from Horton and starts to pull away, but Horton was staying within earshot of the Hearn number 20 until a big old plume of smoke came out of the back end of the Millennium Car Wash 42. Jimmy Horton drops out of the race and ended his chance for the championship. Brett Hearn picked up the win and picked up the Florida Tour crown, once again celebrating in victory lane on the rooftop. Dale Plank had a sensational week, finishing second, followed by Tim Fuller, Jimmy Phelps, and Pat Ward. Final points look like this. Hearn wins by 4 over Fuller. Horton falls back to third, followed by Plank, Johnson, and Coffey. Let's head north to Hagerstown Speedway, Hagerstown, Maryland. Brett Hearn and Tim Fuller looking to keep that Florida magic alive and well for the first points-paying race of the Advanced Auto Parts Modified Super Dirt Series of 2006. Hearn leads Fuller. A lap car put fluid down going into turn number 3. Both Hearn and Fuller hit it, and both hit the wall. This allows Kenny Tremont in the 115 to get by for the lead. Fuller sustained the most damage, ripping the rear deck lid off his car. On the move was the Gypsum Wholesaler Stadium International number 91 of Billy Decker. Here he gets by Tremont to take over position number 2 as Brett Hearn leads. Then Alan Johnson in the Native Poker 14J gets by Tremont and moves into third. And this sets up an exciting last 10 laps. AJ on the top side looking to get by Billy Decker for position number 2, while Brett Hearn is right there in heavy traffic with Joe Isabel and Chuck Bauer. AJ moves up the second, final lap. Alan on the bottom. Does he have enough to get by Hearn? No, he does not. Brett Hearn picks up the first series points win of the season at the Hagerstown Speedway. AJ finishes second, the Franklin Flyer third, Kenny Tremont fourth, Frank Cozy fifth. Rolling Wheels Raceway Twin 50s is on the bill on May 7th in Elbridge, New York. During the afternoon, the dust was flying. Gary Tompkins 3 wide with Justin Hares, and Tim McCready making a rare modified start in 2006. T-Mac would come out of this first 50-lap event with a top 5 finish. Alan Johnson, coming off his second place run from Hagerstown in the Jeff Rudelavajone 14J, was strong. Tim Fuller and Frank Cozy were also strong on the afternoon, but not as strong or as fast as the number 91 of Billy Decker, who took the first 50-lap race. Gary Tompkins was second, followed by Alan Johnson, Tim Fuller, and Tim McCready. In the second 50-lapper, the field was inverted, putting Vic Coffey's 32C and the 7X of Steve Payne up on the front row. Dusty conditions caused for drivers to take evasive action. Tim Fuller, one of the few cars that could pass during this race on an extremely slick track, gets by Tim McCready. Fuller wasn't finished though, as he would go after Vic Coffey's Sweeteners Plus 32C, and Fuller would be the new race leader. The winner of the first 50-lapper, Billy Decker, tried to keep the pace. Here he gets to the inside of Vic Coffey to take over position number 2. He would close in on the Fuller number 19, but he would run out of time and real estate as Tim Fuller picks up the second 50-lap event of the afternoon. Billy Decker second, followed by Gary Tompkins, Tim McCready, and Vic Coffey. The Bill McNabb Hall of Fame 100 at the Cayuga County Fair Speedway in Weedsport, New York back on May 28th gave us some great racing action, including Vic Coffey's charge to the front in number 32C Sweeteners Plus ride. Coffey was in control and navigating traffic finely as they worked their way through the field 3 by 3. Billy Decker, Frank Cozy, and Matt Shepard. Look at that great racing action on the 3/8 mile track. Vinny Vitale lights it up with the 56V, bringing out the caution, tried to drive away but couldn't. On the ensuing restart, Tim Fuller in the 19 works to the inside of Vic Coffey and takes control of the field. But lurking right there in the shadows is the JIR Motorsports 27J of the Dr. Danny Johnson. He takes second spot from Coffey and then pressures and challenges the number 19 of Tim Fuller. Fuller works the top shelf while the Doctor goes to the wine cellar, looking to make something happen through corner number 3 and 4. Fuller brings it off the turn with the advantage, but the Doctor inches ahead. Danny Johnson goes on to win the Hall of Fame 100 at Cayuga County. Gary Tompkins second, Fuller fades to third, followed by Vic Coffey and Pat Ward. Race number 5, the Lernerville Speedway, Sarver, Pennsylvania, the Keystone 100. Tom Sears in the 8J had a phenomenal showing on the night as he would come home in position number 4. Pat Ward's 42P and Matt Shepard in the Randy Ross Geo Hardware 44S did battle all race long in the top 5. Alan Johnson was the race leader until a flat tire slowed him considerably on the front stretch as AJ would have to go to the pits. So that left Billy Decker in the 91 and Tim Fuller in the number 19 on the speedway to do battle. A classic battle of two modified Titans. Fuller on the top side took the lead away from Decker, but Decker, using the same move that Fuller used on him, took the number 1 spot away. Billy Decker would cruise on to his second Advance Auto Parts Modified Super Dirt Series win of the year. Tim Fuller would cross in second, followed by Pat Ward, Tom Sears Jr., and Jimmy Phelps. Well, we jumped in our vehicles and headed back east to Susquehanna Speedway. The Palmer's Candy Schools Out 100. Alan Johnson in the 14J and Frank Cozy do battle early on. Cozy's night would go from exceptionally well to pretty bad. Here, contact with Rick Scagliotta sends Scagliotta around in a knot, and then Cozy later on went off the speedway via the tow truck. Not the way you want to end your race when you're in Pennsylvania. Battle for position number 3, Brett Hearn muscles to the inside of the 44S of Matt Shepard to take the spot away. Gary Tompkins in the 1 car had a good showing. Here he battles with the 32C of Vic Coffey. Dale Plank led from the drop of the green, and late in the event, Jimmy Horton saw an opening. He wanted to get by the sensational one, putting the pressure on the Plank 77X. A very slick racetrack. As Plank couldn't protect the bottom, Jimmy Horton saw the opening, and Horton tiptoes to the top of the heap. Jimmy Horton would go on to collect his first Advance Auto Parts Modified Super Dirt Series win of the year and celebrate in victory lane. Plank comes home second, his best run in a series race, followed by Hearn, Shepard, and Tompkins. We head out to Western New York, Ransomville Speedway. World of Outlaw late model star Tim McCready making a modified start, this time in his dad Bob McCready's Kinney Drugs number 9 in the Easy Oil 100. Here T-Mac powers around Alan Johnson and into the lead. Billy Decker was on the prowl with the number 91. He gets by Matt Shepard's number 44S. Speaking of Shepard, he had his hands full with the number 3 of Chad Brockman, who's a regular runner on Friday nights at Ransomville. As the night got darker and the race got longer, Brett Hearn's number 20 and Tim Fuller in the number 19 started to make their charge to the front, but it would be a little bit too late. As Alan Johnson said to Tim McCready, listen, I've been following you. I'm sick of looking at you. I'm going to go around you. AJ takes the point away from the McCready number 9. This is the way it would finish as AJ gets his first series win of the season. T-Mac crosses second, followed by Billy Decker, Chad Brockman, and Pat Ward. After 7 rounds, Billy Decker leads Pat Ward by 69 points. Gary Tompkins third. Vic Coffey completes the top 6. Check your passports. We go to the Boss Track of the North, Brockville, Ontario Speedway in Brockville, Ontario, Canada. The O'Brien boys, they rule the roost up here. That's Danny in the 17 and Pat in the 6 car as they do battle for second place. Why? Because Steve Payne was the race leader until Pat O'Brien says, hey, Hurricane, I know you run well here, but I'm faster. Brett Hearn had a miserable night. He started 30th. He ended up finishing 20th. 3 wide on the Boss Track with Frank Cozy, Danny O'Brien, and the Dr. Danny Johnson as they battle for position. Fresh off his win at Ransomville Speedway, Alan Johnson in the Native Poker number 14J was looking to make it 2 in a row, but he dug himself a hole early. He had to start 17th, but AJ found the fast way around. Here he takes second from Billy Decker and then goes after race leader Pat O'Brien. Try as he might, O'Brien just didn't have the ponies to keep the pace with Alan Johnson as AJ takes the lead away. 2 in a row for AJ Slideways, Alan Johnson, this one coming at Brockville. Pat O'Brien second, followed by Tim Fuller, Billy Decker, and Frank Cozy in 5th. In the words of Cornwall Motor Speedway announcer Brian Mulligan, so we will go racing with the Akwesasne Mohawk Casino 100. Dave Aislip and Gary Tompkins make contact, and Aislip off the back straightaway and into the wall.
Tompkins would come to a stop and would have to qualify through the consolation race. 100 laps for the big block modifieds, charging around this quarter-mile bull ring. The natural Dale Plank takes second spot away from the 11 of Kyle Jacobs and then finds himself right next to the 44 of race leader Matt Shepard, and the natural takes over the number 1 position. Pat O'Brien was on the move as well, as he would take the 2 spot away from the GU Hardware 44S of Super Matt. Gary Tompkins' tough night continued. As he went around, he would finish in the 17th position. Meanwhile, Brett Hearn and the Dr. Danny Johnson doing battle, living up to the rivalry that they have. Dale Plank was on a rail, lapping cars left and right. Here he's about to put a lap on Billy Decker, the current points leader. Decker had to go to the rear of the field as he started in a backup car. Alan Johnson decided to turn up the wick late in the event. Here he takes the 3rd spot away from Matt Shepard, powering around on the top side. But AJ wasn't finished there. Next in line was Pat O'Brien. O'Brien fell victim to him at Brockville, and once again here at Cornwall as he takes the 2 spot away. The natural Dale Plank continues to lead, putting a lap on Frank Cozy as AJ tried to catch him. Dale Plank gets his first Advanced Series career win at Cornwall. Chasing him across the line was Alan Johnson, Pat O'Brien 3rd, followed by Tim Fuller and Kyle Jacobs. We'll stay north of the border as we visit Drummondville, Quebec, Autodrome Drummond Speedway for race 10 of the Advanced Auto Parts Modified Super Dirt Series. Billy Decker had a horrendous Canadian trip. He finished 14th at Cornwall. This night was no better for the Franklin Flyer. He went around by himself, where he was credited with a 22nd place finish. Alan Johnson suffered a flat tire on 2 separate occasions. AJ came back to finish in position number 5. Dale Plank in the 77X set fast time coming off his win from Cornwall. He finished 11th. Frank Cozy had a sensational run going. As a matter of fact, at the checkers, Cozy crossed in position number 3, but came up short at the scales as he was DQ'd. Alain LaPlante looking for Ryan Jacobs. He's at the 5. He's at the goal line. Touchdown, throw a punch. Oh, he was not happy. It's over. Get back in your car. Quit flailing your arms. Back up in front, Gary Tompkins in the number 1 car leading the way as Brett Hearn in the number 20 makes a bid on the top side on lap number 44, but the Jet couldn't muster up the power. So what's Brett doing? He goes to the bottom side of the speedway. Rough track conditions on the night. Here on lap 54, Tompkins hits a rut that puts Brett Hearn on top of the heap, but a late race caution brought out by David Hebert blown motor in the number 20 set up a last dash for the cash as Hearn goes to the top side. Tompkins has a run underneath him. Remember that run up top? Well, guess what? There was another one down in the bottom groove, and that cost Gary Tompkins as Brett Hearn was able to put it up in front and go on for his 2nd series win of 2006. Tompkins settles for 2nd, Jimmy Phelps 3rd, followed by Tim Fuller and Alan Johnson. Orange County Fair Speedway, Carl Edwards was in the house along with his car owner Jack Roush. Here he is talking to Orange County Fair Speedway star Brett Hearn. Carl failed to make the show on the night, but he gave the fans something to cheer about. 358 modifieds were in action on the evening. Opening lap trouble on the front straightaway. We're talking carnage, people. Right smack dab in the middle of all this was the Vinny Salerno-owned number 4 of Brett Hearn. Hearn had some damage on the car as he had to take it behind the wall. David Van Horn was on a rail as he picked up the win in the 358 race. Hot rods on the hard clay. Alan Johnson and Billy Decker bring the field down to the green for 100 laps. Tim Fuller in the number 19, here racing with the number 10 of Richie Urich, made some strides. He started 7th. At the conclusion of the event, Fuller crossed under the checkered flags in position number 3. Brett Hearn ran his regular Saturday night number 74. The Jet crossed in position number 5. Jeff Hetzler in the number 66, here passing Gary Edwards, was the highest finishing Orange County Fair Speedway regular. He crossed 4th. But this night belonged to the number 91, the Franklin Flyer, Billy Decker. He took the lead from Alan Johnson on lap number 2, and AJ had nothing for him as the Gypsum Wholesaler Stadium International number 91 collected his 3rd win of the year on the series. AJ crossed 2nd, followed by Fuller, Hetzler, and Hearn. Let's take a trip and sip on a drink down at the Grandview Speedway, Bechtelsville, Pennsylvania, the Traffic Jam 100. Jeff Strunk in the 126 leads, following Jimmy Horn. Whoop, not anymore. It's the 14J of Alan Johnson taking over position number 2. Then AJ says to Strunky, hey dude, I'm gonna work the low side. Watch this, off the corner. AJ becomes the race leader, putting Jeff Strunk to second. But the car on the move was the 7X of the Hurricane, Steve Payne. Coming into this race, the best finish he had all season was a 6th place run. On this night, working their way through traffic, a little bumping and banging with AJ. Down into corner number 3 and 4, the Hurricane muscles it down to the inside and takes over the number 1 position. AJ was determined to get the number 1 spot back as Payne continued the lead, but the bad luck would bite Steve Payne. Smoke and then a complete stop in front of Alan Johnson and Billy Decker as the Hurricanes' night was done while leading. He finished a disappointing 26th place. Back up front with the leaders, Alan continues to show the way with Billy Decker now chasing him. Role reversals from the last race at Orange County. Alan Johnson would go on to show why he's the all-time winningest big block modified driver, scoring his 3rd win of the series. Billy Decker second, followed by Brett Hearn, Gary Tompkins, and Tim Fuller. After 12 races, Billy Decker is 8 points behind Alan Johnson, followed by Fuller, Hearn, Tompkins, and Pat Ward.
As we hit the long, hot dog days of summer, live television returned to the Northeast with the Empire Dirt Series from the Cayuga County Fair Speedway in Weedsport, New York. Live primetime racing action every Sunday night.
It is a curious brotherhood. Some have grown up together. They've known each other for 25 years. Friendships come hard here, though many last a lifetime. Yet,